Hi everyone. Hey everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Hello everyone. I've been looking at the comments backstage and I can see lots of familiar faces. I can see Tiffany's in there in the chat as well. And I'm really looking forward to chatting with you all. It's wonderful to see you all guys. My name is Tania and I am based here in the UK. And if you can't tell by my funny accent, I'm originally from Pakistan and I live in the UK. I have been for the past 15 years. I've been crafting all my life. And I am a serial gel printer. So, Tiffany, the very lovely Tiffany, asks, what is your go to gel printing technique? Okay, so my go-to printmaking technique is I love doing image transfers with magazines, and I also love building patterns on a gel plate as well. So I absolutely love color, and being from a South Asian country, I absolutely adore color and pattern, and I am not afraid to use them. And I adore uh, mixing different patterns together, seeing what works, what doesn't work, finding unusual combinations of colors and patterns. So yeah, and there's another technique which I like to call color blocking, where you apply one color and then pull a print and then apply another color and then pull a print, and it kind of looks like a color jigsaw puzzle. So kind of, I hope that kind of answers your question, but I absolutely adore gel printing. So I can see there's lots of people tuning in from America. Are there any people from Europe as well? How did you find gel printing? Okay, so I blame my friends Birgit Coopson and Marsha Walk, who's also teaching, whose class was yesterday on gel printing as well. I blame them for my gel printing addiction. I've known them for a very long time, and I saw that they did a lot of gel printing, and I was hugely excited by it. And I bought my first gel plate about 10 years ago, and I didn't use it for a couple of years. It just sat in its packaging because I was afraid of using it. I know there's a lot of you guys who feel the same way about gel plates and being afraid to use them. So if you've got a gel plate, I'm watching you. Take it out of its packaging and use it. Don't be afraid to mess it up. And yeah, so I watched my friends do really amazing things with this squeegee thing, and I absolutely adored it. And I started seriously gel printing in 2018, and I applied for the Jelia's design team, and then they made me a brand ambassador. And here I am, and I absolutely adore everything and anything to do with gel printing. And it's because of gel printing is because because of that I have a career, and here I am in front of you guys teaching you all about gel printing and why I love it. So look, I saw a German and hello, and I saw someone from the UK as well. I saw some Canadians as well, Northampton. I'm in Hertfordshire near London in a small town. So what other cards do you use other than for cards? Do you use your gel prints for? So there's a lot of things that you can make use for gel prints, like any other pattern paper. So if you follow me on Instagram, my handle should be linked around the screen somewhere. It's at Tania Ahmed. There's a post there which shows you 30 different ways that you can use your gel prints. So you could make art journals, which is my favorite thing to do. You can make albums. So this is something that I made recently, which I haven't shared on social media. So I maybe this might be a fun place to show it. Do you guys remember explosion albums? If you're a scrapbooker, So this is what I turned a lot of my gel prints into. Will it fit on the screen? Kind of. But yeah, just really fun album that I made. So if you look up how to make explosion or squash books, as they're also called, then you can make something like this. I also love doing collage with them as well. You can do decoupage with your gel prints as well, and it's the possibilities are endless. I mean, I've made paper flowers with them. I've decoupaged on glass jars, on tin cans as well. And yeah, the possibilities are endless. Let me just show you some of the collages that I've made. How do you store your gel prints? Uh, I don't. Um, well, I do and I don't. This is a collage that I made recently. There's a Instagram. It's up on my Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. If you guys wanted to see how I made it. So with my gel plates, the gel prints, usually I have a pile of them ready to be organized. And then what I do is, because I work on different weights of paper, first I'll separate them by weights of paper. Because the thinner papers are really, really good for making into art journals. And I really love doing that. So that's my preference. You can do whatever you want, whatever suits you. And then next, what I do after I've sorted them by weight is I sort them by color. So that kind of gives me an idea of if I want to do some collage work, or if I want to make a themed card, or if I want to make a mixed media canvas or something like that, then I can pick and choose my colors really easily. And if I've got like really tiny small scraps, then you can, as in my video tutorial, let me know if you guys have watched my video tutorial. Then you can use one of those giant double-sided sheets of paper, and then you can stick your small pieces on there. And if you've got any gaps in it, you can sprinkle some something like flock or glitter or embossing powder if your sheet is heat resistant, and then that will fill in all the gaps in between it. It will create like a mosaic kind of effect. So that's something fun for you guys to do. Uh, how did somebody ask how do I store my gel plates? So I store my gel plates in between sheets of copy paper. This is the Jelly Arts official recommendation, is that your gel plates will come with some mylar plastic sheets, and what you basically do is you discard them and you store them in between plain paper, not glossy paper or any kind of photo paper, plain paper. This is because that once you take that plastic sheet off and you try to put it back on, you might get bubbles on the surface of your gel plate, and that can cause like some dents to appear where those bubbles are. But if you do have those bubbles, don't be worried. All you need to do is just leave your gel plate on a glass mat and it should level itself out. Where do you get your inspiration from? So I draw a lot of my inspiration from where I'm from. I'm from Pakistan, so like the clothes that I wear, and from my culture, and I love patterns. And if you're struggling with finding some colors to work with, then I usually go on Pinterest and do a search for color palettes, and there's some really amazing color palettes that you can have a look at. uh, okay, somebody asks, how do you clean your braiers? Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. What you can do is, if you've got really mucky stencils or braiers that have acrylic paint dried on them, then you can soak them in a solution of Murphy's oil, and you can leave it on for a couple of hours or overnight, and you'll find that the next day the acrylic paint just slides right off. Um, uh, Newbie at gel printing, what advice do you have not to do to help us make some of those beginner Yuck, mistakes. Okay, Margaret, excellent question, but this isn't. This is a long answer. So, uh, a few things I suggest doing is keep in mind if you're using any kind of medium, think of its opacity in mind. So that means that how transparent or opaque it is, and think of the color wheel as well. So, for example, if you've got two colors like orange and blue, and you try mixing them together on a gel plate, then you might get like a muddier, maroony kind of browny shade. So, if that's what you don't want, then consider that. If you do want to use orange and blue together, which can be beautiful complementary colors because they will really make each other really pop, then I would clean your brayer in between blending those colors on a gel plate. And then, secondly, I would also suggest with if you're using acrylic paints, then less is more. Um, this is personal preference again. I usually find that if I use less acrylic paint on my gel plate, then the texture will have a lot more definition, and also the paints will lift off cleaner off your gel plate as well. Sometimes if you use too much paint, then you might find that you're having to pull like two, three, four different prints before all the paint comes off your gel plate. Now, at the end of the day, I'm just suggesting what works for me. But if you want to use a lot of paint, then and it makes you happy, then you do what gives you joy. What is your favorite medium to use on your gel plate? Acrylic paint, definitely acrylic paint, because of how many different viscosities or thicknesses it comes in. There's so many different ways of using them. There's so many techniques that you can do with them, and I love that they dry fast if you're using thin layers. And I also love how versatile they are. Just absolutely love acrylic paints. But then again, there's so many different mediums, as you know, Tiffany. There's so many different mediums that you can use on gel plate. You can use pan pastels, you can use alcohol inks, you can use all sorts of craft ink pads, distressed inks, distressed oxides, pigment inks, stays on, archival inks are just absolutely stunning on a gel plate as well. They're really good for using with image transfers. Um, so this, I can see somebody said don't set anything sharp on it. So with gel plates, the couple of don'ts that I suggest are don't use anything sharp on it. Like if you've got a texture that's like slightly pointy, then you can press it down on your gel plate to get some texture, but don't use anything sharp like a knife on a gel plate because it's not self healing. Once you've made the cut is there. Also, don't use any photo paper on it. Don't use any newsprint on it as well. Photo paper can get stuck on your gel plate, so it's not advisable to use that on there. I've personally not used Yupo, but I have heard that some people have found that Yupo has gotten stuck on their gel plate. Um, and also don't use heat on a gel plate as well. So if you want to dry your your paint, then you can use a hair dryer, but use it on a cold setting. Any kind of heat source can damage your gel plate. How do you attach the lighter weight paper without it rippling or buckling? Um, do you mean lighter weight paper onto a card? Is that what you mean, Linda? Well, what I normally do is, oh, you mean onto like a double-sided sheet? What you can do is start on one end instead of just going straight down with your paper. What you can do is you can start on one end and then you can use like a old credit card and just lightly burnish it on, and that will work. It's bubbles out and it won't buckle so much. I hope that kind of makes sense. Uh, have you or can you use fabrics to do pose? What paints? So, yes. Every time I get asked is can I print on fabric? Can I print on canvas? Can I print on plastic? The answer is yes. You can print on anything that doesn't move. Trust me, I've tried. But do keep in mind that you need to think about what kind of mediums you're using. So on fabric, you can use acrylic paint. You can use your inks as well, but do keep in mind that you might find you might need to use a lot more medium to use on fabric because fabric is absorbent. If you're not planning on washing your fabric, then you can just use straight up acrylic paints. If you want to wash it, then you can use fabric paints on a gel plate. And if you don't have fabric paints and you don't want to invest them, then I have something like this as well. This is Fabric Medium by Liquitex. And this, you can just mix part of this to your normal acrylic paints, and that turns any acrylic paint that you have into fabric paint. And with this one, you don't have to heat set it. With the golden one, you have to heat set it. Um, what paper do you use for your poles? So I always suggest if you're first starting out with gel printing, I always suggest not to worry too much about the kind of paper that you're using. Just try to use as smooth of a paper as possible. So I use everything from 100 GSM copy paper to 120 GSM smooth white cardstock as well. I know some people use specialty printmaking paper as well, but that's again personal preference. In the beginning, if when you're first starting out with gel printing, I wouldn't suggest buying anything expensive. Just use whatever you have already have and just practice, 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 practice. Do you have a favorite brayer? Excellent question, Sally. Yes and no. I like using all sorts of brayers, and I like doing all sorts of different techniques with them. I don't know if I can find my big boy, big my big brayer or not. Maybe not. But I have a couple of braids. Oops, that was a piece of crochet, people. It's a piece of crochet mat, which is makes really good gel prints as well. May I add? Um, so this is one I have by Speedball. This is a soft rubber one. It's a bit more expensive, but I really like using it. You don't necessarily have to use this. This is a craft one that I have. You might find it in many different brands. This one is by Jelly Arts, and what I like about this is that the roller part comes off for easy cleaning as well. And then I have a much larger and wider one that I like using if I want to do like really large ombre kind of backgrounds. Any tips for using pigment powders? Best way to clean them off if they have mica in them. If you're using them on a gel plate, then my suggestion is to use baby oil or any kind of mineral oil or vegetable oil on a gel plate, and just use a some kitchen towel and just really scrub that off. But do be mindful that if you're using baby oil to clean your gel plate, uh, then make sure that you wash it afterwards with some mild soap, like a washing soap like Dawn or Fairy, as it's called over here in the UK. And because any oily residue that you have on there might repel any of the mediums that you add onto it, and it can affect your prints. So just make sure that you wash your gel plate afterwards. How do you clean the plate when using stays on and permanent inks? So Margaret, again, really excellent questions. cleaning, so that's, we're using the baby oil, that's one way. Then another, that using baby oil will get rid of most of your stains. Now, a stained gel plate is still a perfectly good gel plate, and don't be afraid of staining your gel plates. It's not going to look pristine the more you use it. And in my personal opinion, a well used gel plate prints better because the surface isn't 100% smooth and it grabs onto any medium a lot better, and it will give you better results as well. So you can use baby wipes. You can wash it under in the sink with some mild soap. And if you've got some really caked on acrylic paint, you can just use some tape to lift up some of the crusty chunks as well. How do you use pan pastels on a gel plate? So using pan pastels on a gel plate is a really, really fun way to use them. So what you would do is you would simply take whatever applicator you have of your pan pastels. You can use a sponge, or you can use one of those sponge palette uh, soft tools, I think they're called, and apply them directly on your gel plate. And basically, the gel plate will grab onto the pan pastels and they kind of stay in place. So you can create a really beautiful background. You can put a stencil down and put your pen pastels on through the stencil, lift it up and cover up the rest. And then to lift that pen pastel, what you need to do is you need to do something called a ghost print. So I think I showed you guys how to do a ghost print in the video that I shared earlier. So once you've got that pan pastel down, then you put down a layer of uh, white paint or any kind of paint that will make your pan pastels appear really well. Sometimes you can use matte medium as well, which is basically just acrylic paint without any pigment in it. Put down a really thin layer of your acrylic paint with your brayer, and then put your paper down on it, and then let it sit for a minute or two, and then pull your print. And what that does is that wet paint will pull that pan pastel off on to your paper. And with pan pastels, you might still be left with some residue on your gel plate, and you can subsequently keep pulling depending on how much pan pastel you put down on your gel plate, and you can create some more lighter, more airier gel prints as well. So I hope that answers you. Is there any crafting techniques you're afraid to try? Um, uh, I'm not afraid, as in like scared to try. I know there are some uh, crafting techniques that I stay away from because I know I'm going to get really, really addicted to them. So for me, the one that I am deliberately staying away uh, for now is encaustic art, because that's been on my list for a very, very long time. And at the moment, my focus is on mixed media, art journals, and gel printing. And I know that once I start doing encaustic art, then that's what I'm going to become obsessed with. So I'm kind of afraid of doing that. But normally, if because I think isn't it what they say is that courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the presence of fear, but then doing the thing anyway. So there's a lot of things that I've tried for the first time, like doing these events, doing gel printing, publishing first post on my card, on a card on my blog, on my very tiny blog, which is there's lots of things that you do for the very first time. It's the first step is always the hardest, and then you realize that the thing that you were putting off is the thing that gives you the most joy. All right, everyone. I want to say thank you so much for joining in. Margaret asks, "Is there a paint where the acrylic paint layers start pulling away from the paper when you pull?" Is there such a thing as too many layers? Yes and no, Margaret. It is, you can, if you want to do a ghost print, then you can just put your paint layer down, and then Just leave your paper on your wet paint for like maybe an hour or so if you've got lots of layers. And if you've got that ratio of that ghost print acrylic paint right, then you should be able to pull it right off. I know some artists do some really fabulous layering, and when they leave their the paper on there for like an hour, sometimes they even do it overnight. The results are just absolutely stunning. Then the paint should come off clean. I hope you guys found it useful. My very lovely friend Marsha, who is also a teacher on the Stress Free Card Making Summit as well, is also there in the chat. Do check out her class as well. Absolutely amazing. Huge fan. Love you, Marsha. Thank you, everyone, so much for watching and tuning in. And take care and have a brilliant day. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks.